Hi, Sean.
I talked to you yesterday.
Good. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes.
A great host. Sean is great. Listen to his show.
Absolutely, 95.5.
One mic.
Shelley Winter Show, live, local, topical, and relevant, my friends. Here for a Thursday night, almost the end of the week, Super Bowl weekend, Winter Olympics weekend. A lot going on this weekend, but we're not there just yet. We have a lot to talk about. I want to start here. For years, my Democrat, can't do that. My Democrat friends, particularly in urban areas, have always talked about the government being there to help what many of us call the least of these. And they've always put forth, yelled about, and tried to put forth all kinds of programs to help the least of these. And billions and billions and tens of billions, maybe $1 trillion, some have estimated that the government has spent over $1 trillion. Let's say a number that no one's going to quibble with, tens of billions of dollars. It's more like several trillion, but let's say tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. Over the years, government programs to help the least of these. And it's not based on race, it's based on economic status. But there's been tons and tons of money thrown at programs to help what we call the least of these. And every time there's tax cuts or budget cuts, the Democrats always yell, well, what about the least of these? What about the babies? When you talk about cutting SNAP payments, they always say, what about the children? When they talk about cutting child care, Head Start, what about the children? The Republicans don't care about the children. And this has been going on for decades. Many African American, especially Democrats, have pushed for reparations due to the legacy of enslavement in this country. There's a movement, a reparations movement. As a matter of fact, when Joe Biden was running in 2020, many of these groups brought up reparations. The Democrat Party told them to shut down that conversation, and it was never brought up again for the entirety of the 2020 election. At all. At all. I bring this up to say I already blasted my conservative friends for not being outraged at the Trump accounts. I happen to think it's a wonderful idea. I happen to support it. But I'm not one of those who screams, my tax dollar, my tax dollar, my tax dollar. But I think it's a great idea. Now, for those of you who don't know what it is, Trump accounts, I talked about it last night. I'll talk about it again. These are 1,000 Treasury-funded seed money for babies born between 2025 and 2028. And they throw it in these stock market investments. You can't touch it until the kid turns 18. So you're looking at, over the course of 18 years, probably $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 from that $1,000, depending on how things go. But looking at it historically, it's a good chunk of change for an 18-year-old, particularly in an age where A&I is going to basically devastate the job markets. But if you're the least of these, this is a very good opportunity because it's going to AI, the job market, 20 years from now, it's going to look totally different than it does now. These kids will be 18 years old. You don't know what's going to be going on, meaning in terms of opportunities to make money. You know how for the last 5 years they've been talking about testing out universal income. Elon Musk has talked about universal income may be necessary. Democrats have pushed in areas, localities, in several localities across the country, universal income for the least of these. As a matter of fact, if you look at demographics in many urban communities, the least of these make up the base on a local level for Democrat elected officials. If you look at your bigger churches and your medium-sized churches in urban neighborhoods, you will find the least of these are populating these churches and tithing and making people rich. So it boggles my mind that with these Trump accounts rolling out, that the Democrats, particularly urban black Democrats and church leaders, are not getting in front of these groups of people and pushing Trump accounts. As a matter of fact, I've been strongly thinking about starting some kind of nonprofit to go around and preach the Trump accounts for these groups. Now, before you jump up and down and say, well, what about the tariff money? Or what about this, which I heard from people earlier on my Facebook page? This is what can happen to this? You're not putting anything in it. And if you were waiting for your $2,000 tariff check and you hate Donald Trump, you're kind of a hypocrite. But I get it. It's a pushback. But why aren't African-American Democrats all across the country not going into their districts, not going in front of their base, not going into churches and talking about Trump accounts for people to sign up for it? Is it because you don't think it's going to happen? Well, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. No skin off your back. You put no money into it. So why wouldn't you push this? Is it because it's Trump named? I get that. But you're still leaving the least of these in a position to be still least of these. So you're not helping the people because you don't like somebody. And you're afraid that if there's a Trump account or some Trump name on it, that they'll vote for him. Well, he can't run anymore. So why not take advantage of this? It boggles my mind. I posted earlier what I just talked about, and you should have seen the number of people that came on my page yelling at me for pointing this out. And I'm saying to myself, but I thought you cared about the least of these. But you really don't. Because when that child sees $1,000 given to him by the government as a newborn, and that child is 18 years from now, you'll realize that child won't need you anymore. Because he will have some seed money to go to college or start a business or do something else or raise a family. We don't know what 18 years from now looks like. But for right now, as I'm speaking on February 5th, it's a good idea. I don't know what's going to come of it, but it's a good idea. Why wouldn't you push it to the least of these? Why wouldn't you have this information in every church, in every community center, in every YW and YMCA, in every community midnight basketball? Why wouldn't you have this idea and tell these mothers and fathers that they can take advantage of this? It boggles my mind. Because my entire life I was told by Democrats, particularly in urban areas, that they only cared about the least of these. And now there's an opportunity to use government money, which is what you've been doing for the last 50 years, to help the least of these. And you're not saying anything about it. Makes a man like me go, I wonder if you really do care. Because everything points to you really not caring. Because if I were a Democrat in an urban area, I'd be running around my entire district pushing the Trump accounts, where newborn children born between 2025 and 2028 can get $1,000 seed money placed into a stock market investment account. That seems to me like a good idea. But I don't know. Maybe helping the least of these was never the intention by the Democrats. Maybe it was just all talk. The Shelley Winter Show, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. When we come back, I want to talk about a story out of Wisconsin about weed and a pancake restaurant.